There's a lot of people that are icons. They're icons. But there are very few people who are actually history makers. And you made history, brother. You made history. Daryl and Joe. Daryl and Joe made history. This is DMC, in case y'all don't know. I shouldn't even have to say that. I shouldn't have to introduce him. DMC, what's happening?
What's up, yo? DMC in a place to be. What's up, Wizard World?
What you doing here at Wizard World in Philadelphia? What brings you here?
Well, actually, I guess some kind of, this is like my orientation. Okay. About 8 months ago, some friends came to me and told me about this thing called Comic-Con. Okay. And I was like, yo, you know, when I was a little kid, before I started rapping, before I got into hip-hop, I was collector of Spider-Man Hope. I was a Marvel Comics geek.
Marvel, just Marvel?
Marvel, yeah. I didn't say there was something about DC I wasn't with.
I wasn't feeling DC when I was little.
Marvel was like hip-hop, right? DC, I mean, you respect Superman. And you respect, but they wasn't the bomb. It was just something about the writing, the artwork, and all the characters. You know, Marvel was gangster.
Marvel was gangster. Now that's a quote. Marvel was gangster.
Yeah, Marvel was gangster. So me, you know, I was a big comic book head growing up, and before I got into hip hop, I used to draw. Well, I could still draw. I was like, because if on King of Rock, when Run says, I'm DJ Run, I could scratch, I'm DMC, I could draw. All I used to do as a little kid was read comic books and draw.
That wasn't just a line you threw in there because it rhymed.
Really, I always rhymed about what I really did. So, make a long story short, they told me about Comic-Con and the Wizard and these comic conventions and stuff like that. And I was like, yo, I want to come check that out. So they said, oh, by the way, yo, usually what they like to do at these conventions, they like to do exclusive items and stuff like that. So what I'm doing for Comic-Con in San Diego is creating an action figure. I got an action figure and a comic book coming out, the DMC comic book. Because Chris Rock, he likes me out of the group for some reason. Like, for some reason, I'm his favorite member of the group.
No, I know why. It ain't no for some reason. I know why.
You know, Run and Jay was cool, but DMC was like the superhero guy with the glasses and the gloves and stuff like that. So we're going to do a comic book, which is also going to help give a positive message to the world. What brought me here was somebody said, your DMC, you should do a comic book, you should do an action figure. You know, you love that world. You're official because I really was into comic books. I'm not just here just to get paid. I really love all of this. And, you know, the good thing about comic books was there was always a relationship with hip-hop. Because if you think about the way the comic book is written, you have the Incredible Hulk, the Amazing Spider-Man. They always had titles. And if you look at the rappers, especially the rappers before Run DMC, like the Cold Crush and the Treacherous 3, it was like the Treacherous 3. So you had the Almighty KG. You know what I'm saying? You had the Heartbreaker J. Everybody had their titles. Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu, they were like superheroes to us.
Stan Lee was rapping, and he didn't even know he was rapping.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm here to just live in a world that I've always been involved with.
You just answered the next question. What was your geek passion? Because I always got to ask, like, what is your geek passion? What brings you to a Comic-Con? But you just ran it all down. All right, so then I'll ask you this: who is your favorite superhero?
The Hulk.
Why?
Hulk was always my favorite superhero because it was like he was sort of like an outcast. Yes. He's sort of like an outcast, and he wasn't really a bad guy.
Right. Misunderstood.
He was misunderstood. So, you know, kind of like Run DMC was when he first came out. Okay. You know, and I can always relate to superheroes because when he came out, before gangster rap came along, people would look at Run DMC and judge us by the way we dress. Because we had the Adidas with no laces, you know, we had the gold chains, we had that. We looked in gazelles, we looked like the drug dealers.
Little history lesson, Run DMC was the first hip-hop group or black R&B group at all to not come out in costumes. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, Africa Bambaataa, they wore the Indian headdress, the leather suits and all that stuff. Y'all dressed like brothers from around the way, and you were the first to do it.
Yeah, because you got to understand something. Before rap records was ever made, when we used to get the flyers of Bambaataa and flashing them live,
Right.
on those flyers, they would wear what we wore.
Right.
If you got a flyer, before rap records was made, this before rap was even a business in the industry,
Right.
you could go see Africa Bambaataa, Cold Crush 4, Treacherous Street Live at like the Audubon Ballroom or Harlem World.
Right.
On the flyer, they would have on sheepskins and Adidas and Kangos and Godfather hats and gazelles and gold chains. But when they started making records, you have to understand something. The first
Show
rappers,
business.
right? The first rappers had no rappers to look up to because they were the first. So when they came into show business, who were their show business idols?
Right.
Parliament Funkadelic,
Right.
Earth, Wind and Fire, and the Rolling Stones. That's why they dressed like that. So when we started making records, our inspiration came from them, but not on the showbiz level,
Right.
from the from the b-boy parties and the block parties.
Right.
So when Russell said, "Yo, y'all need a costume," we said, "Okay, Russell, we'll figure it out, but we ain't wearing that stuff." Actually, 2 years ago, a friend of mine was my first rhyme I ever wrote.
And you were how old?
Run spoke at 15.
Did you really have good credit?
No, I have none of that.
I knew that was suspect. I knew that was suspect. I know no brother from Queens at that age had good credit.
Yo, the funny thing is, like, when I go talk to schools, I go speak at schools right now, and it'll be like, the little kids will be like, "Yo, Mr. DMC." You guys there, because I'm old, but they like Mr. DMC with all due respect. You guys, your old school guys were materialistic too. And I say, yeah, that's true, young brother, but check this out. First of all, we rapped about stuff we wish we had. And then when we was able to get what we rapped about, we only made one record about it, and you never heard about it again. You got dudes now on their 6th and 7th album still talking about the same thing they spoke on their first album. That's why hip-hop is messed up, because there's no growth and evolution of education and information. We did one record about Adidas. We never spoke to y'all about it again, and it became a classic.
And you didn't have to. Can I quote Ice-T? I've got a lot of documentaries about hip hop, and Ice-T had a great line. He is the man. He had a great line in one of them. He's like, "You got all these kids out here now that never did anything, never been anywhere. So all they know when they start to write a rhyme is, yo, look at my watch."
Exactly.
Because that's all they know. They haven't been anywhere and done anything.
Exactly.
You know.
And when you think about the job of the rapper, or not the job, you can rap about whatever you want to rap about. This isn't about censorship and freedom of speech, but you got to look at the responsibility of the rapper. When DMC rapped, "I'm DMC in a place to be. I go to St. John's University. Since kindergarten, I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade, I went straight." Some kids was like, "Wow, you mean you can still be cool and be down and go?" And some of those kids went to school.
Subliminal. It was subliminal. It was sinking in, and you didn't even know it was sinking in.
Exactly. Some dudes was like, "Yo, just for y'all, just for those MCs, Run DMC, Public Enemy, KRS-One, Eric B. and Rakim, De La Soul, just for us saying some of the things that we said changed people's lives."
To bring it back around to the geekdom, to the comic geekdom.
Like hip-hop, real hip-hop, official, real, substance, sincere hip-hop is like a good comic book. Brings you into a whole nother world.
Interesting. Okay. You're storytellers, and that's what comic books are.
Exactly.
Storytelling.
Couldn't have said it no better.
Here's a question I like to ask:
Yep.
Which female not even superhero, which female comic book character did you want to bone the most?
Wow, that's a good question.
I know. That's why I ask it.
Well, all of them, but I'm funny. All of them.
All of them.
All of them. Wonder Woman was hot. She was over at DC. Wonder Woman was hot. Or maybe that was the TV Wonder Woman.
Linda Carter.
Probably was.
Linda Carter.
Yeah, probably was a TV. That's a whole nother. Like, oh, well, you know what?
I'm gonna throw one out there to help you think.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say both of Spider-Man's girlfriends, Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. Yeah.
And then when it came into the picture, it was like I took comic books so serious that I was jealous of Peter Parker.
That's funny.
I wanted to beat his ass.
That's
Because you know what was good about them? They weren't superheroes.
Yeah.
They were just real girls.
Real girls.
And
And
I
they
was
have
like,
problems, and they're like girls that we could meet out in the hood, walking around.
Yeah,
You know.
No, I felt that Mary Jane and Gwen was like really there. I wanted to bone them because they were normal girls.
She-Hulk. I wanted She-Hulk to throw me around.
Oh, She-Hulk.
Oh. and horny.
He was flying.
And when she was like dating Wyatt Wingfoot, that's all they talked about in the comic book was going back to the crib and having sex. She-Hulk. That's my girl.
Wow, that's powerful.
Brother, I appreciate you taking this time to sit down and talk with us. You spent a lot of your time with us. I really appreciate it.
No, because it was the best interviews are real.
Dude, I had no clue that you were a so that's one more thing we had in common.
I'm the guy, put it like this, I was such a, with the names, the amazing, the incredible, I was the guy that named Jam Master J Jam Master, because originally he was going to be Jazzy Jason. And I was like, you can't be Jazzy, because you already got Jazzy J down with the Zulu Nation. So I said, give me a minute.
That's right.
Oh, I got it, Jay. You're going to be the Jam Master. And I'm thinking, because I was like, Ash Run, he said he was a comic book head. I would create all of the personalities. So I said, yo, the Jam is two things. The Jam is actually the record. Yo, I love that Jam. And the Jam is actually the party. Yo, man, that Jam last night was dope. So I said, Jay, you're going to be the master of the whole thing, the Jam and the Jam. There's no, and it came true, too. Right, like the Jam Master, you got Grand Masters and Grand Wizards, and the Jam Master became a staple in hip-hop.
Can I just say, Stan Lee, you had no idea that you influenced the name of a history-making hip-hop group.
Yo, Stan Lee created a monster right here.
You heard that. And let's say a big shout out to Jam Master Jay.
Yes, JMJ all the way, rest in peace all day.
DMC, this has been a pleasure, brother.
Oh, by the way, might as well plug it. Hey, Stan, man, you might as well come along. Let's do some business. Let's put the DMC comic out together, because it's dope.
Call him, Stan. Call him. You owe him. Call him.
Stan Lee owes me now.
Stan Lee owes DMC. Thank you, brother.